Most powerful tool that's available to CEOs today is AI. If AI is embraced and made useful, companies can fundamentally become more profitable, improve customer experience, grow faster, and so on, right? So, in order to be future ready, CEOs understand that they need to figure out how to make AI a part of its DNA.
Hi, I'm Craig Smith, and this is Eye on AI. In this episode, I talked to Shub Bhowmick, CEO and co founder of Tredence, a leader in data science and AI solutions, helping enterprises leverage advanced analytics to drive growth and innovation. Shub explains how AI is reshaping industries and talks about the challenges companies face in AI adoption and Tredence's vision for the future of AI in business. I hope you find the conversation as informative as I did. Hi. Good tech solves problems that you thought about. Great tech solves problems that you haven't even thought of. What can the commerce platform trusted by millions of merchants do for you? It's time for Shopify, the commerce platform revolutionizing millions of businesses worldwide. Whether you're a garage entrepreneur or IPO ready, Shopify is the only tool you need to start, run, and grow your business without the struggle. Shopify puts you in control of every sales channel. So whether you're selling satin sheets from Shopify's in-person point of sale system or offering organic olive oil on Shopify's all-in-one e-commerce platform, you're covered. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the United States, and Shopify's truly a global force, powering Allbirds, Rothy's, and Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across over 170 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way. So sign up for a $1 a month trial period at shopify.com/ionai. That's Shopify, shopify.com/ionai. That's EYEONAI, all lowercase, all run together. Go to shopify.com/ionai to take your business to the next level today. Give them a try. They support us, so let's support them. So why don't you go ahead, just introduce yourself, Shoop.
Sure. So, first of all, thanks for having me, Craig. Really appreciate the opportunity. So, Tredence is, we are about 2,500 team of data scientists and data engineers. Fundamentally, we are curious-minded technologists. We love to innovate. What we do is we supercharge our clients with AI capabilities in a custom way. So we are not a out of the box product, and we help them minimize the noise, focusing on real value creation and unlocking value from relevant data by driving business outcomes. Today, we're working close to 25 Fortune 200 clients, including the largest companies in retail, CPG, as in consumer packaged goods, travel, hospitality, telecom, financial services, healthcare, and so on. Helping these companies improve their customer analytics and driving better experience, make their marketing campaigns more targeted, more measurable, and reducing cost of acquisition, augmenting revenue and pricing algorithms with more modern AI, and improving their supply chain.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, prior to starting this company, along with two co-founders, Sumit and Shashank, I was in tech services with Infosys, in management consulting with PwC, and private equity. Let me take a pause there, Craig.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, you focus on consumer packaged goods, or that's one of your focuses. Why CPG, and are there particular challenges to leveraging AI in that industry?
Yeah. See, the most powerful tool that's available to CEOs today is AI. If AI is embraced and made useful, companies can fundamentally become more profitable, improve customer experience, grow faster, and so on. Right. So, in order to be future ready, CEOs understand that they need to figure out how to make AI a part of its DNA. This is literally true for any business, including all retail and CPG companies. And why we are strong in this sector, we have designed our evolution that way. We started with retail and CPG, but now over the last 10 years, we have actually built strength in few other verticals as well, including travel, hospitality, tech and telecom, and now increasingly in financial services and healthcare as well. But coming back to CPG, yes, you're absolutely right. We are working with 80% of the largest retailers and CPG companies of the world. We have a significant specialization in these sectors. It's more than 50% of our business today. And we have now become the go to provider in data and AI in this space. We help them solve the most complicated and hairiest challenges.
Yeah.
Um, do you want me to give you an example on this?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to
Yeah.
ask. Yeah.
Okay. So this is a very interesting transformation work we're doing for one of the world's largest retailers, and the way it happened is in last year in NRF. NRF being one of the largest retail conferences in the world, we met one of their C-suite executives. Right, this is one of the largest convenience store operators, more than 500 stores globally, and they're ranked as a top 10 global retailer. So this executive, he was struggling with challenges that I'm sure you've heard elsewhere. You know, lots of data sitting in silos, recent acquisitions, large legacy footprint, redundant systems, hence leading to data quality challenges, lack of certified data assets that their stakeholders could rely on, significant lag in the data, right? It could take multiple days for information to become available for analysis and insights and so on and so forth. So we met there. This gentleman, he liked the story we presented and the capabilities we demonstrated during the initial meetings. So we started on the engagement, and over the last 1.5 years or so, we've been working together. um, we have gone through a significant evolution. These engagements, Craig, typically starts with helping the executive develop the strategy. Right, these are blueprints based on conversations we have with their executive team, with their other technology leaders, and then bring our expertise into the mix and put the roadmap and the blueprint together. Right, and then it's the work starts happening one phase after another phase. Typically, we would start with helping them do the data foundation, right?
Mhm.
So help them, move close to 90% of the disparate data that I just mentioned to a standardized, unified data model with standard definitions, right? So how did this help? It helped them improve the trust in the data and unlock previously hidden insights. Then it moves on to sort of setting up the governance, right? How do you keep this data robust and high quality over a period of time? So you set up an enterprise data governance council, you implement a cataloging tool sometimes, and the data stewards from this council are meant to define and align and back up these definitions that we just talked about, right? And I can give you a lot of examples how the definition of similar metrics may vary what one person is thinking versus another person is thinking. For example, in retail, retail sales per store per day, a metric as simple as that, there are many different ways to calculate it. Does it include returns or it doesn't? Does it include field sales or it doesn't? Right. So getting alignment on all these basic definitions while you're setting up this new lake house is super important, right?
Mm.
Once you're done with the foundation and the governance structure, then you start working on the reports, right? How do you rationalize the reporting environment and get rid of all the redundancy and the wastage, right? With reports that no one looks at, right? And this is where we bring our accelerators. We have something called T ingester, which is meant to rationalize a bunch of these duplicate stuff, and we have something called a medallion architecture. I'm not getting into the details of the the technology, but it's meant to kind of drive this consolidation and one unique view of the data and the business, right? Just I'll give you one example here. By So in the process of doing this, we were able to significantly reduce the latency, right? So we moved them from a batch based architecture to a real time architecture using structured streaming, and that actually reduced the time of doing going through this consolidation process by almost 15 hours, right? So as an exercise, we did something interesting. So they had a store in the lobby of the headquarters. So we made a purchase there, and then we walked up to the room of the CEO, and he was able to see the purchase within 5 minutes. And it was tagged to his loyalty card, right? So we made the process a lot more real time. And beyond that, I'll just say one last thing. Then I'll stop after that. So you've set up the data foundation, you've set up the analytics and reporting layer. Now starts your AI and data science journey, right? So
Mm.
we this is when we bring together all our AI and ML accelerators, first of which was demand forecasting. So this particular retailer had a lot of spoilage in their P&L, right? They're making a bunch of perishable food and throwing out a significant percentage of that because the store managers did not have a good measure as to how much should they make, right? Again, leveraging the accuracy of our accelerator, we were able to beat the previous accuracy of the model by almost 500 basis points, right? Leading to a significant reduction in the spoilage.
Mm.
And these kind of benefits are typically certified and validated by the CFO, and because it hits the bottom line directly of the company, right? And over a period of time, this journey continues to evolve. We are now building more and more additional AI and data science and data engineering based products for this customer, and driving business outcomes across a variety of functions in the organization.
Yeah. How much? What flavors of AI are you using in this? I mean, I'm imagining that you use sort of predictive analytics, for example, for the spoilage. Some just simple, not simple, but supervised learning. But are you using generative AI now in report generation, for example?
This particular project, we have now started to go there. So far, it has been more classical machine learning and deep learning mechanisms and modeling techniques. But now we are starting to explore, including aspects of generative AI, looking at unstructured data, and so on and so forth. Right. So, why don't I share with you sort of our Gen AI journey, and then I'll be able to come back to the question you're asking. Is
Sure.
that okay? Yeah. So that's been a fascinating last 18 months, to say the least. Craig, I'm sure you are talking to a lot of leaders who are in this space, and they have been sharing examples with you. We have come about our own journey in the last 18 months, as you can imagine, building these Gen AI based enterprise applications, right? And I'm going to divide this into 4 or 5 phases. So, phase one was, the introduction of foundational models, right? This is when we were also starting to explore Chat, GPT 3.5 when it first came out, November 2022, and we were starting to explore. We were exploring what is the art of the possible, right? Intelligent search, So we started experimenting internally as well as some customers, and very quickly we started seeing a deluge of models, right? A lot of foundational models, and that was adding to the complexity of when to use, what to use, and so on, right? So phase two, then I would say, which started probably about 4 or 6 months into this, we started to contextualize the models, because the foundation models by themselves were a little too generic, right? They were wide ranging, which is
Mhm.
powerful for generic use cases, but unable to create specific accuracy, right? And models need that context. This is when we started looking at techniques such as RAG and prompt engineering, and how to make these models more effective by adding more contextualization, vector data augmentation, right? And this is when the focus also started shifting from training to inferencing, right?
Mhm.
See, in traditional AI, what do you do in traditional classical machine learning, Craig? Like, you start with the base model, right? You build the base model, and then you experiment with it, right? You tinker with the weights and biases. But in case of large language models or generative AI foundation models, the model is already massively trained, right? You're starting with a very strong foundation. So your job is to not start from scratch, but take what you have and fine tune it, right? Retraining it only if necessary, which is very expensive, right? So this I would qualify this as phase two. Then moving on to phase three, we started going deeper with the customers, right? Specific problems in smart manufacturing, in product innovation, right? Things needed to be done in a domain specific way. So domain thinking, domain content, which is our strength, by the way, because we go to market by the verticals that we work in. So bringing all that context into the work that we were doing with our customers. Moving on, phase four, which I would say has been more in the last 6 to 8 months, we pivoted and started focusing more on operationalization, right? Industrialization of all the experiments that were happening in the lab, in the POC phase so far, right? Moving past the incubation phase, and focusing more on driving the value into production, and hence driving business outcomes, right?
Mhm.
And then phase five, which is where I would say we are now, or we're kind of getting started. So as the solutions and these models continue to mature, now we are focusing more on adoption, right? Enterprise adoption, which also, by the way, is going to be a very interesting journey. Traditional AI took more than, it took a long time to get to where it got to. So with Gen AI now, exploring. So while you do this, also explore new features like multi agents, right?
Yeah.
But the emphasis is, how do you make it simple and easy for organizations, right? Basically, we are now starting to see a lot of conversations around intelligence in different forms, right? Uh, every application, Craig, in the world has to be reimagined as an AI application, right?
Mhm.
And the dance between humans and AI, where humans are being augmented with AI, and working together as co-pilots. It's our job to ensure this dance happens, and it works in unison, in tandem, right? So, and I believe it's not a zero sum game, and a people versus AI. It's actually a complement. So we are very excited to make this unison work in the most productive and effective way.
So if I mean, in what parts of I mean, can you give me an example of what parts of an industry or of a company do you focus on? Or are you proposing that they use generative AI as opposed to more classical AI?
Yeah. So it see the applications of generative AI, right? Um, um, it's everywhere, right? In all functions of the business, pretty much all functions of the business, whether it's marketing or supply chain, or or customer analytics. Wherever you have data, obviously you have to start with setting up a high quality data strategy. But once you have that, you can use Gen AI to leverage and find more value off of that, right? Why do I say that, right? Because one of the data, I'm sure you've heard this, close to I'm trying to remember, um, I think close to 80% of business relevant information is still in an unstructured format,
Mhm.
right? Primarily text. Which makes it a prime candidate for generative AI, right? For example, if you in an organization, if only 20% of the data you have been leveraging so far in structured data analytics and models on top of that, now you have access to that additional 80% that has been sitting in unstructured formats, right?
Mhm.
Now the question is, I think the more I think what you're getting to, Craig, is how do we do this, right? So typically, we again follow a three-phased approach, right? We start with, so we have an offering called Foundry to Factory. So it starts with what we call Vision Quest. These are basically discovery and design exercises conducted via workshops and interviews, where we help our clients identify the most optimal use cases to drive business value, right? The ones that are realistic and adequately worthwhile for both the CFO and the CEO. And then moving on, we set up a sandbox environment and an ecosystem to start the incubation and experimentation. We call this the foundry phase. This is when we bring all our accelerators, such as text to SQL, and I'll talk about what it means in a second, other domain centric large language models, and so on, right? And then in the third phase, which where we call the factory phase, this is about again operationalization, right? Which is plumbing with the various large language model options that exist out there, both open source, Llama 3s of the world,
Mhm.
Mistrals of the world, as well as closed source options like Gemini and GPT and so on, right? And then running the processes securely, right? Ensuring there's no biases, right? Ensuring there is no hallucination. See, one very important thing to think about is in in Chat GPT, when we ask that agent a question, and I'm sure everybody does that nowadays, including our kids. Uh, if it doesn't know the answer, it sometimes tend to make it up, right?
Yep.
Which is what we call hallucination. But in enterprise world, that's not okay. You cannot make it up. It's okay. The model should say, I don't know the answer to this question, rather than making something up, right? So how do you ensure these things? Another important problem that we always are looking to solve is disinformation and deep fakes, right? How do you eliminate all that? So all of these things is packaged into something called responsible AI in a box. So while we do the help our clients with the operationalization, we have to handle these technical challenges, but also these other challenges which we call responsible AI.
Yeah.
Does it make sense? Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask, I had read that you had launched a Gen AI as a service platform for enterprises. Can you talk about that? This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Comparison is the thief of joy, and it's easy to envy other people's lives. It might look like they have it all together on their Instagram, but in reality, they probably don't. Therapy can help you focus on what you want instead of what others have, so you can start living your best life. I've benefited from therapy. Many of my friends have benefited from therapy. It's no longer something that people are ashamed of. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com. Visit betterhelp.com/IonAI today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/IonAI. Ion AI, all run together, EYEONAI. So visit BetterHelp, HELP.com/IonAI for 10% off your first month of therapy. You'll enjoy it.
Sure. Yeah, it's a kind of a enablement. It's an orchestration platform uh, to do a bunch of things we just talked about in the last 30 minutes or so. Um, it offers a range of features, including deployment of the Gen AI and AI solutions, infrastructure optimization, accelerators to build these models, and responsible AI governance and monitoring. Right. And what it's meant to do is help enterprises navigate the complexities of generative AI solution adoptions. Right. So, what do we do as part of this service platform? Part of this platform. Step one is typically building the data foundation. Again, breaking the data silos, integrating the data in real time in the lakehouse environment that we talked about. Step two is democratizing the data. Right, once the foundation is built, how do you drive self-service access to this information? Democratize the data to business stakeholders, to various business functions in the organization. Step three is governance. Creating that one version of truth. When you look at a certain business metric, everybody is calculating it the same way. They know how it's calculated. Step four is the platform itself, support and operations, 100% uptime, and ML ops processes to ensure that the models are staying in tune. Step five is the value unlock layer, meant to drive analytics consumption, report rationalization to move from legacy to more modern self-serve reporting platforms. And then step six is the accelerator layer to answer all the common business questions and business challenges, anomaly detection engines to find patterns that are not favorable to the business at scale. Conversational AI engines, again, a very, very popular tool that we are leveraging nowadays to take advantage of all the integrated data to drive, for example, recommended persona based insights to the business, right? Answer commonly asked business questions, right? In that context. So we are implementing this platform for clients across various industries, including retail, CPG, banking, healthcare, etc., and helping them modernize their data infrastructure and deploy AI-driven solutions in a secure way, and with an emphasis on speed to value. Because gone are the days when we start a transformation journey and we wait to see the results 2 years down the line. Nowadays, CFOs and CEOs expect those results within months, if not weeks in certain situations. So we have to be extremely agile and high quality while we are helping our clients through these journeys. Craig.
Yeah. And just so I understand, so a Fortune, 500 company comes to you, they're a retailer or consumer packaged goods manufacturer, and or some other sector,
Sure.
and you take this Gen AI as a service and you embed it in their, excuse me.
No worries. If you want to get a glass of water, please do.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
You take this Gen AI as a service platform and embed it in their systems, and train them on how to use it and connect it to their data. Excuse me. Or is this a self-service platform that your clients then have access to and go onto the Tredence platform to build their Gen AI tools? How does that work?
Yeah. So we are not a software company, Craig.
Right.
So we are a this is how we do things, right? What makes us unique? So we are a services company. We are a tech services company which specializes in data and AI. And what makes us unique is our accelerator portfolio. So it is neither of the two things that you mentioned, right? Here's the thing, right? So clients have two choices today. You go and buy a software as a service product. You're going to get a faster product, hence a speed to insights, because it is something that's ready made, something that is off the shelf. But the downside is that you're buying something that is off the shelf. It is meant to work for everyone, but in reality, it doesn't work for anyone, right? Plus all the plumbing work that you need to do to feed the product with the data that it needs to be useful, that
Mhm.
usually takes a long time. And the whole value proposition of speed to insights, unfortunately, goes for a toss. Flip side, or the other option, is that you start from scratch, right? You build exactly what you want, your exact business processes, your way of looking at the data, your data model, etc. Challenge is that it's a very time consuming process. It's got a long development lead cycle, and you typically will end up missing the business opportunity, right? So at Tredence, through our accelerator portfolio, you get the best of both worlds, right? Leveraging our accelerator ecosystem, similar to the platform that we just talked about, which is, by the way, certified by our hyperscaler partners. They're meant to help you with your data migrations, all the other components, data governance, cataloging, AI, more than 150 uh, pre-built models that are already sitting in that platform. So you get a head start to a large extent, about 50 to 60% along the way. But the remaining 30-40% customization that you need to do, especially, which is super important for large companies in Fortune 500, amongst Fortune 500 companies, you get to do that customization. So you get a head start and you are able to quickly get to that finish line, uh, uh, leveraging the pre-built capabilities in our platforms. Am I making sense, Craig?
Yeah, yeah. And so if I'm a CEO and I don't know where to start, I go to Tredence. You guys sort of analyze my business case and propose places where AI or Gen AI can improve things. And then, do you have? Is it like a consulting firm? Where you have consultants sort of embedded in the company, helping the CEO through this journey using the various tools that Tredence has in its uh, portfolio, and until it's set up, and then you turn it over. Is that how it works?
That is accurate, but if you allow me, I'm not a big fan of the word consultants, because consultants typically work on PowerPoint. But in our case, it's about driving the business outcomes. It's about writing the code, the technology, developing the technology that is actually meant to drive meaningful value. So,
Right.
yes, there are certain engagements where we would start with a very quick initial discovery to tell you what needs to be done, but then we will also help you through the execution journey, which is typically 95% of what we do.
Right. Right. And I had read somewhere that you're investing a lot in developing your Gen AI capabilities across sectors. Is that right?
Yeah, we are. We are. I mean, I think this is a big part of our future, and this is where the industry is going to spend a lot, and there is a lot of meaningful value. I'm so sorry. The sun is kind
Yeah. Yeah.
of pushing into my face. So we are investing a lot into this area. Um, so I had read somewhere, Craig, and I'm sure you have seen similar stats. AI is supposed to contribute more than $15 trillion to the global economy by
Yeah.
2030, right? And generative AI and AI in general is a central priority for most Fortune 500 companies right now, right? Um, so um, So hence we are making it a big priority for ourselves. And here's the thing: when you are trying to help your clients with innovation, when you are trying to help your clients with and giving them the head start that we I talked about in terms of accelerators, you have to invest, right? You have to invest in developing capabilities that are domain focused. Now, what we don't try to do, Craig, it's important to know this: we are not trying to become one of the underlying technology hyperscaler platforms, because that
Mhm.
job is already being done by Microsoft and OpenAI and NVIDIA and Google and Databricks and Snowflake and AWS, right? So we're not trying to replicate what they're doing, right? Let me take a step back. It might be better for the sun.
Yeah.
What we are trying to do is create the application layer on top of that, right? The
Mhm.
domain contextualization on top of that, right? And doing the last mile plumbing and combining all these foundational capabilities and driving business outcomes, working very closely with our customers, right? So that's how we differentiate, and that's how we sort of create value for our clients.
Yeah. Are you do you publish does Tredence publish research that it's doing or that's coming out of its experience?
Absolutely. We have to talk about the research and a lot of this interesting work that we're doing for our clients. In fact, quite recently, we published a paper called Unleashing the Boundless Power of Generative AI. It's basically a summary of many of the things we have discussed in the last 45 minutes or so. Uh, See, I have seen this story evolve in a very interesting way. I've seen this closely last 10 years since we founded Tredence, and 10 years before that as a consultant working for other companies. Um, if you think about it, Craig, I think you and I go back a while. We used to have mainframes, right, to do the large volume number crunching, parallel
Mhm.
processing, etc. Then we saw the advent of Hadoop, which was meant to provide these parallel processing capabilities. And then we saw cloud, right? Cloud exploded about 7 or 8 years back, and we started seeing this cloud-based hyperscaler ecosystems, right? Primarily, started with AWS, followed by Microsoft, Azure, and now Google. Right? Google came at the end, but now they're quickly trying to catch up, and they're actually doing a great job. In parallel, we also saw the rapid rise of two Spark and cloud-based data platforms, right? Snowflake and Databricks, right?
Mhm.
Snowflake came to the market first, hence they have a larger install base today, and then came Databricks. And as I'm sure you know, this Databricks is based on the Apache Spark open source library, which they started building on top of, right? And then now they're seen as a leading innovator in the space. Remember, without good consolidated data, you can't do analytics or AI or Gen AI, right? So in the last 18 months, as we've seen the demand for AI explode, thanks to OpenAI largely, since their GPT 3.5 announcement in November of 22. Uh, but from the perspective, so the democratization of AI has been put on a even faster speed since then. But from the perspective of large companies, it's also becoming incredibly noisy and complex, right? How do you unlock these opportunities in the
Mhm.
fastest, but also in the most cost effective way? Especially because I believe enterprises are still very, very careful in spending, right? So there's a lot of emphasis on ROI and making sure while they have to, chase and do the right things from an innovation perspective, but they have to do it in the most cost effective way. And that's where companies like Tredence comes in, right? We are not going to spend quarters and months and years talking to you in theory in PowerPoint. We will come in, do quick discoveries, quick diagnostics, tell you what the opportunities are. We will start quickly building those capabilities, leveraging our accelerators, and then also stay very focused in partnering with your business stakeholders, not just your IT leaders, but your business stakeholders, to drive meaningful business value in a practical way. Um, and that's why I believe we are uniquely positioned, Craig, to enable this journey for our clients. And going back to your question, we try to capture these learnings as and when we are going through these projects from a technology perspective, as a domain service provider. We try to package all of this knowledge into these papers, right? And as I specifically talked about unleashing the boundless power of generative AI, but we have written many such research documents over the last 10 years.
Yeah. Why did you focus on consumer packaged goods, and then what's the future for Tredence's growth? Is it uh, moving from into other sectors,
Yeah.
or is it? Yeah. Go ahead.
So I think I understand your question. So consumer packaged goods and retail and consumer packaged goods, both those verticals are working in tandem, right? Retail is where the storefronts, digital or brick and mortar, where we and I go and buy our shampoos and toothpastes from, and then the CPG companies are the manufacturers and the brands that is producing those products, and we are procuring them through the retailers. So we work with these two verticals very closely because 11 years back when we started, we felt that that was a little bit of a white space, and we had a very interesting opportunity to accelerate our incubation, our journey, and quickly become a mainstay data analytics company, leveraging our experience working with those verticals, even previous to starting Tredence, as far as the founders are concerned. Coming to and so now we started from there, and now we have started building our capabilities and clientele in lots of other verticals, and we have talked about that. Your second question about growth. See, our growth is driven by three vectors. New verticals, where we would go and start working for a new industry vertical. The second vector are new horizontals, which are basically the service lines or new service offerings. And the third vector are new geographies, right?
Mhm.
And as in the last 10 years, and we'll continue to do this over the next 10 years, we will continue to place these calculated bets in all three vectors, right? For example, in 2023, we incubated two new verticals, financial services and healthcare, right? In the second vector, the service offering vector, we launched new practices, right? Gen AI is a big one there. We've been talking about that in this interview for the last 40 minutes. But we also incubated another service offering last year called marketing analytics, which is in the MarTech, marketing science, working with chief marketing officers to reduce their cost of customer acquisition and so on and so forth. And then the third vector, from a geography perspective, I would like about 20 to 25% of our revenue in the long term to come from clients, from regions outside North America. And we've again been investing in that vector too. And more recently, we have entered the Middle East market. We've set up a new office in Dubai, and we are now working with clients in UAE, in Qatar, in Saudi Arabia, using this new office in Dubai as a base. So
Mhm.
these are the three vectors where we are growing organically. Outside of organic growth, obviously, we have set up an office to do inorganic acquisitions.
Yeah, and you describe yourself as an analytics firm, but if just from talking to you, it sounds that you're much more than analytics. That you're much deeper in transforming operations and simply you know analyzing data coming out of operations. Am I wrong?
You're right. You're right, and let me build on that a bit. Right. So Craig, if you ask me, analytics, AI, data engineering, data science, all of this is a means to the end. Right.
Mhm.
The end is to drive business value, whether which basically means either increasing revenue, right, finding incremental revenue opportunities, or improving your bottom line, right? Improving your P&L, reducing cost by, let's say, increasing productivity and so on and so forth, reducing wastage, etc. Right? So we do all of the above, especially in the data spectrum, to get to those business outcomes, right?
Mhm.
It could be leveraging data engineering to organize your data better, right? In terms of plumbing, setting up those lake houses, making your data available more real time, focusing on governance so that you have one version of truth. It could be data science and classical machine learning algorithm development, right? Which could be, demand forecasting. You talked about predictive analytics or optimizations, because we all live in a, unfortunately, we don't live in a world of unconstrained resources, right? So our resources are constrained. So, for example, if I'm the chief marketing officer, if I can only spend $100 million to launch a new brand, then, well, 100 million is a big number. Let's say $10 million to launch a big brand. Then how do we optimize between various digital and other media channels in launching that brand, right? So optimization, predictive. This is the kind of, these are the kind of problems we would solve in the classical machine world of machine learning. And then now Gen AI kind of gives us a very different kind of power and influence in looking at unstructured data, you know, um, doing things faster. I'm sure you've heard about how even our engineers, can become now more productive. Let
Mhm.
me give you one example as a point of reference. Let's say you're writing a code with 20 lines of code, right? A program with 20 lines of code. Typically, and I'm generalizing here, Craig, but
Sure.
typically in the 20 lines of code, you'll probably do 15 lines of plumbing and
Mhm.
you will do 5 lines of logic, right? Now, using generative AI, that plumbing can be done much faster, right?
Yeah.
So your programmers, your engineers are now going to become a lot more productive. They will be able to do more, and so on and so forth, right? So our job is to leverage all these underlying technologies as Lego blocks and piece it all together to drive the most, optimal business outcomes for our clients. That's why we exist.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fascinating. And how large is the company, and in terms of headcount and customer base?
Yeah. So we are about 2,600, employees as of today. Although this number keeps growing every day, as you can imagine. We are working for about more than 20 Fortune 500 clients as of today, and overall we are working at about 100 clients or so. And again, these numbers continues to grow as well. And I believe, Craig, the reason we are doing well is because, of course, we have put together a great team with the right strategy and blueprint in terms of what the organization should look like 5 years from now. But it's also because the macro is helping us, right? Enterprises are spending in data and AI because they know, CEOs know that if they don't, then they'll be left behind, right? So we are benefiting from some of these macro forces as well, and I'm very excited about our future.
Yeah, and excuse me. And you have quite a track record to build on with the Gen AI stuff. I mean, there are a lot of companies that are popping up uh, to advise uh, companies on how to implement Gen AI, but they're brand new companies. They don't have much of a track record. When you go into a sales situation, How competitive is the landscape? I mean, the market is certainly there. It's massive. Everyone is trying to implement these
Yeah.
technologies. But yeah,
Yeah, it is competitive, but that's part of the fun. Um, we are, we are in situations on a fairly regular basis where we're competing to get a piece of work, with another competitor, a peer, and typically we win the work, right, because of our focus on the domain, because of the focus our focus on the vertical, right? Because when you are talking to a chief supply chain officer, and you're talking about how you will be able to, let's say, improve the inventory turns situation for the chief supply chain officer, or how you will be able to improve the route to market, uh, and hence reduce the cost of logistics, right, and distribution. You have to do the business speak. You cannot talk like a technology geek, right?
right.
So the way we operate is in multidisciplinary teams, where we have these domain experts working with the technology experts, right, along with design thinkers, and these multidisciplinary teams then work in pods with our customers and drive the value over time.
That's it for this episode. I want to thank Shub for his time. If you want to read a transcript of today's conversation, you can find one on our website, Ion AI. That's EYE-ON.ai. In the meantime, remember, the singularity may not be near, but AI is already changing our world. So pay attention. And before you go, give Shopify a try. It's only $1 a month for their trial period, and you can sign up at shopify.com/IonAI. That's shopify.com/IonAI, EONAI, all run together, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/IonAI to take your business to the next level today.